Hi, my name is Jeremy, and this is Red Beans Recording. When I moved back to Seattle in 2016, I made a promise to myself to get out more and meet people doing the things that I love to do. I came across a listing for a synthesizer meetup in Lower Capitol Hill, and I knew I had to go. That was my first taste of what Patchwerks had to offer, and it was awesome. Patchwerks is Seattle's independent synthesizer store, but it's so much more than just a retail space. With a heavy focus on community, education, and music performance, its mission is to not only stock and sell hard-to-find gear, but to be a rallying point for the diverse community that is the Seattle synthesizer and electronic music community. So, on a sunny Sunday in August, I headed over to Patchwerks to talk to some of the people that make this crazy dream a reality. This is the story of Patchwerks, Seattle's synthesizer store.
Test, 1, 2,
Test.
3.
Test.
Nominal speaking voice.
Regular volume.
Not a robot. Hi, so I'm Tom Butcher. I'm one of the two founders of Patchwerks.
And I'm Cindy Reichel. I'm the other co-founder of Patchwerks. Patchwerks, as a concept, actually began at the NAMM show in 2015, I believe. I had personally been thinking for a while about doing something like this, opening a synthesizer focused shop in Seattle because we didn't have one, and other cities had stores that I was pretty impressed by. So I went down to the NAMM show in LA and was walking around and ran into Tom on the floor at NAMM, and we got talking, and Tom and I have been friends at that point for almost 20 years. And we realized we both had a similar vision for what Seattle needed in terms of a synthesizer modular focus shop. So that was where the idea was born.
So in addition to the lack of synthesizer boutique, we felt there was definitely market demand. And there was a trade association called the Mostly Modular Trade Association that had been operating meetups for quite a while, which we both went to and enjoyed. They're really fun. I learned a lot, met a lot of people. Those guys decided not to do as many meetups. So there was both the meetup demand that wasn't being met as well as the store demand. From my point of view, I just thought, wonder what it'd be like to have a synthesizer store in Seattle.
So initially, once we decided to go into business together, the first step was to really try to see what kind of a market and what degree of interest there would be by hosting sort of synth meetups, similar to what the MMTA had been doing. We did have a few of those events in 2016 before we ever had a website or a store, and they were huge. We had a huge turnout. We set up a table. At that point, we had started to accumulate a little bit of inventory and were able to have, some gear available for sale. And the response was so huge that it really encouraged us to, take it to the next step, which was to set up a website and start getting the e-commerce part of the business up and running. Yeah. And then also to start looking for a physical space that would be suitable for what we wanted to do. So we wanted not just a showroom, we wanted to have events, we wanted to have lessons, we wanted to have a community space. So that was the next step.
Yeah, in the beginning, when it comes to deciding, how to really service our customer base, really it's easy to channel enthusiasm and to service a niche market by just identifying what we really wanted to see and going for it. So that was the initial kind of impetus. Let's have a synthesizer boutique. Let's get the brands nobody's really carrying in the city because, hey, we wanted those instruments ourselves. Being so community focused led us to really listen to our customers and understand not only what's the best choice for you today, but what are you really trying to do? So, one classic, which we get every day pretty much at Patchwerks is, hey, I want to get into modular and I don't really know much about it. Right? And that's a great way to build a relationship and not just to sell a couple of modules or a system, but more to understand, what do you want to do with it? Are you a tinkerer? Do you want to use it for sound design, for games? Are you a musician who's maybe a guitarist and want to get in? First of all, it's fun to just hear what, people's stories are. Hell yeah. But it's very gratifying for us, and this goes for everyone on the team, not just me and Cindy, to help connect people with instruments that can bring them joy or solve problems. So that's a really fun part of what we do here. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to buy synthesizers, but we don't want you to buy the wrong one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hi, I'm Nick Bigelow. I am the Director of Retail Operations here at Patchwerks.
I'm Matthew Pecora, and I help sell synthesizers. And I run the YouTube channel for Patchwerks and make demo videos.
The reason why we have this shop is to be a community resource. And so that is kind of different from other shops. Like, we don't run on commission, and we're trying to get people the best gear that they can find where they are at that moment. You know, usually just trying to see what kind of music they're making, what experience they have, and then just showing some stuff off from there. That's how we engage customers. And that's like a resource that I think you really only get that's curated by a shop like this. Like, when you're online, it's a lot of flame wars or people going back and forth and weird information. Versus here, like, we try to be as honest as possible, because at the end of the day, like, we all believe that this gear is something that's gonna last you a long time, like, inspire you creatively, help you mentally, keep you learning. So I have a performance background, but I hadn't played synthesizers until Bradley of Modular Seattle said, "Hey, when are you gonna play?" He does that to everybody, and it's great. And I do that to everybody too. Like, when people buy the first thing, I'm like, I'm gonna push you to play because it's low stress. This is how you meet people, and it's great. So everybody in the shop has that same sort of mentality.
Totally.
Yeah.
I've been into synthesizers for quite some time, definitely since high school and maybe even a little before high school. And I had a reasonable collection of synthesizers and music gear already. And I had gotten interested in modular through a 5U modular system, actually, which is a little bit of an unusual route to come into it. A lot of people come into modular through Eurorack these days. So for me, it was really already a pretty strong passion, and I had been performing and DJing in Seattle since the 90s. So we were already part of the Seattle community, and really we could see that it was just a missing piece, that not only could we be providing equipment to people, but also community. And for me, I really wanted to try to give back to that community by providing a venue for interaction and community building and education, which really are just as important to us as the retail side of the business.
I'd always go look at magazines in the bookstore, and I saw a keyboard magazine. It was really striking. It's like purple with like kind of digital computer graphics, and there's Jean-Michel Jarre right there on the front. I thought, So that was the first keyboard magazine I bought, and all of a sudden I thought, man, look at all this stuff. This is cool. It had a little floppy or a flexi disc. Okay, yeah. But anyway, that really kind of lit the fire for me. We didn't have a lot of money, so I lied about my age so I could get a job at a pizza store and save up. So I finally got my Juno 60, and I just fell in love. So ever since then, I wanted to be in an electronic music band. I wanted to be able to do it all myself. Patchwerks, in a way, is a place that I would have loved to have as I was growing up, or even as a young adult, or even now. So I'd love to have a place where I can go, play and try the instruments, talk to knowledgeable people about like, hey, I'm trying to do this. How do I learn? And also just to connect with other people. It was actually really hard, even though Houston was such a big city, to connect with like-minded people. There's no real substitute for like really building relationships with somebody. And we see people connect at the store and go off and like make music together. That's awesome. We love that.
I heard Soulja Boy's Crank That in the mid 2000s, and it was a pretty good song, but the more interesting thing was that he said he used software called Fruity Loops. And I had to look up what that was, and when I discovered what it was and that I could just do all of that on my computer by myself, it was amazing.
Well, I'm a guitar player and a singer by nature, and that's like what I like to do. And I always played in bands. and I found myself not having bandmates eventually. And so I started creating band members myself. When I started going into modular, I just went all in. I had a chunk of money saved up and I was like, I'm gonna fill a 7U case, and I did. And I bought it from Patchwerks before I worked here, and tried making the kind of music that I made as a guitar player and singer in modular, and it did not work. And it continues to not work that way. I make a new kind of music now that is unique to the vibe around synthesizers and modular and the DIY community. And it's unique, and it sounds strange, and it's new and fascinating, and I'm stoked to be a part of it.
So regarding events and their importance to our community and to Patchwerks, that was really one of the primary, facets of the business that we wanted to really continue to be involved in. The first meetups we had were very successful, and we realized, there's definitely a demand for opportunities for people to get together and not just, see what manufacturers have to offer, but to bring their own gear out and set it up on a table and show it off. I love when people were bringing their whole families out to the meetups, like kids discovering synthesizers for the first time. And so we tried to carry that through and develop that idea once we opened the store by having events here. So we have a room in the back that can hold about 25 people comfortably. And, since we opened the shop, we've been able to have, small meetups here. The larger meetups, we still continue to have offsite, but the smaller events we can have here at the shop, which has been really nice. So we can have an artist come in and talk about their creative process. We can have a manufacturer come and demo new gear. We do quite a few of those types of events. And we also had, for the makers and the DIY crew, we, prior to COVID-19, we're offering every second week an evening of just an opportunity for people to get together and build kits and solder together. And it was pretty free form. You could just bring a kit or buy one from us and make it here in the shop, but just put some music on, have some snacks. Velocity really came about through some of the relationships that had developed over the last 3 or 4 years through Patchwerks, and we did Velocity in cooperation with several other local organizations, including Modular Seattle, and that event was it was a bit of an experiment for us to see. Obviously there had been other festivals, electronic music festivals in Seattle in the past, but there really was a bit of a void where we didn't really have anything focusing on synthesizer electronic music with workshops, and we really wanted to provide that and develop that into an idea that hopefully would repeat, annually. So yeah, the first Velocity was a great success for us, and we really enjoyed the process too. I mean, it was one of the most enjoyable days I've had. Instead of being a stressful day, it was an enjoyable, fun day for me.
One thing that's really interesting about at least the people we've been able to connect with in Seattle is just the amount of raw talent that's here. And it's because of those talents and the desire of people to help and make something happen that we can do things like that. So with Patchwerks, there's 3 big pillars that are the kind of the core foundation. It's retail, education, and community. And each one of those 3 things are more or less equally important to us. We may focus on events like Velocity for one period of time, or we may invest in our lesson program for a different period of time, but it's really about all those 3 things. And it's gratifying to me, and I know to you too, Cindy, just to create a space where people can come in and express themselves and bring their talents and their work ethic. I mean, some of these things are really hard to put together in terms of just elbow grease. It doesn't feel like work though. At the end of the day, yeah, we're tired, but it was all for a great reason, and you just get this great feeling of satisfaction through putting on these events. So super fun.
Yeah.
What's your favorite module?
Better not be the same as me.
It's gonna be the same as you.
Dude, you cannot.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Metron.
So right now, I would say my favorite module is the Rossum Assimilator sampler. I've had it for a while and was using it just for basic drum kits and that type of thing. But recently, just having a little bit more time at home, the last few months, I've been delving into things like the phase modulation and really building up more complicated kits and sample banks and stuff with it. And having a really powerful sampler in Eurorack is, a really nice addition to my system.
Plus the Volterras, obviously.
Duh.
And then second thing down, like I love a lot of modules, but then the Fracture, WMD Fracture, it's their
Also super dope.
their clapping simulator or clapping module. The way that you could tick it to get kind of like some percussions and then smack it to get it sounding like really long, and I like to make it sound like a rain stick, you know.
I was prepared to choose the assimilator as well, but I thought you might do that. So I'll go with the Make Noise Morphogene. I've had that for a while, and I use it in my Orchid live sets. And interestingly, I put it in my rack and use it as kind of like a through effect in a way, an insert effect on the majority of the mix, which is pretty cool. I was actually listening to Tim Held's podcast, Podular Modcast. Is one of his Bana Hafar episodes. She was talking about what she used at Velocity in her performance, which was amazing. Go watch it on YouTube if you want. But she talked about her use of Morphogene, and it was kind of like the polar opposite of how I used it. At least from what she was saying in that performance. So for me, as an insert effect, kind of a performance thing, but the way she used it was really interesting to me, which was to compose reels and samples that she could perform with, right? So to do a lot more preparation with what goes onto that SD card that it used. And not only that, she said she used 2 of them. I think one for drum stuff and another for melody. So that inspired me. I thought, well, maybe I could get another one. So yeah, for me, Morphogene, I've kind of had it for a while, but I'm getting more kind of deeply into it with some of those inspirations. Yeah, so with the health crisis, the global health crisis in COVID-19, it radically changed how we operate, and the showroom actually looks a lot different. Usually where we're sitting right now is just jammed with synthesizers and drum machines and all kinds of things to put your hands on and play. That changed a little bit just because we want to, since we're so community focused, it's also important for us to protect the health of people who come into our store. But we are open. We're open every day, 12 to 6 p.m., which is awesome. And, we can make appointments to help people either with consultations or if there's some gear you really want to try out.
We definitely are still open, and everybody here realizes how important community is,
Yeah, if you want to talk about synthesizers, call Patchwerks. We will chat with you, for real. We'll tell you our favorite modules and that whole thing.
Yeah.
And and for me, it's them all.
Yeah.
Or come into the shop, visit our YouTube channel, leave some comments on there, tell us what you want to see so that we can make some content geared towards what you're interested in.
We are looking forward to being able to have events again. It's something we've been thinking about a lot, as we all have been, and we do plan to continue that as soon as we're able to. Right now, our lesson program is on hold. One of the things we have really been spending a lot of time developing during this period is our live streaming, our YouTube channel, really working on the website, as Tom mentioned, and trying to switch to reaching people more through the internet. And that's worked out very well for us. So we have a Twitch channel, YouTube channel, very active right now, and we plan to continue to work on those ways of reaching people and disseminating information.
We're really excited. We're very proud of what we do here.
We are proud. Yeah, before all of this, I think we were kind of known within Seattle to be like the place to go for synthesizers. People are still finding out about us. But especially with the COVID times coming, I think it put all of the synthesizer shops kind of like on a level playing field. And it's all really good. So I know no matter what genre you're trying to do or where you're at, like I can try to figure out how to best serve, you know.
And we are taking consignment and used gear again. For a while we were holding off, but we've got quite a good selection of consignment and used modules and pieces that have come in the last month or so that we're going to continue expanding. So,
All right, so come visit us.
No matter where you are in your journey or how you like to learn, we have somebody here who can really help you out.
Yeah, absolutely.